Hey there. I am live today from Ghana, West Africa. I'm excited to be back here again. And today is Mind Blowing Monday. So let's get into it. This week, I'm talking about self awareness, integration, and wholeness. So I Okay, so I'm going to read it. I'm writing from a two-bedroom apartment in Ghana, West Africa, and I realize my perspective has changed since I first stepped foot on the continent nearly 3 years ago. I still feel the electricity of this place, but it's different. Now there is a familiarity and comfort that wasn't here before. And with all the protests taking place in the US over the weekend, it has me thinking about what it means to feel whole in the land of your birth or really in any land. So I define wholeness as awareness, acceptance, appreciation, and integration of all the elements of ourselves. So mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. When I was a young woman, I didn't feel whole. My life was fragmented by trauma and by that lack of self awareness that comes from both youth and immaturity. And then 3 years ago, before I came to Ghana for the first time, I led this amazing group of 12 individuals for the Ghana Soul Healing Retreat. So 3 years ago, after all these decades of working on myself, I felt whole. The thing is, wholeness is both a destination and a journey. And I'm giggling because my roommate is running around doing all kinds of things. It's like having a little mouse running around in the background. But so wholeness is both a destination and a journey. So while I felt whole before coming to Africa the first time, that wholeness got deeper after that visit. I learned things about my ancestry that really fortified my understanding of myself and empowered me to integrate this knowledge into all the parts of my life. Many of us in the US and Western countries, we are in survival mode. We're constantly focused on grind culture. So it's like working, 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 staying busy. We might be scared to rest for fear someone will outwork us, or even worse, they may call us lazy. So pursuing wholeness introduces you to who you are working for. Who are you working for? In other words, it introduces you to you. And who wouldn't want to be whole? The alternative is feeling disconnection and discontent. You know, that feeling like maybe you feel something's wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. So the sad thing that I have learned at the ripe age of 57 is that you can take those feelings of disillusionment all the way to the end of your lifetime. So just because you get older doesn't mean that you actually learn more about yourself. Now, the good news is that you can dig a little deeper and choose your own path for self exploration instead. All right. So I want to give you one quote. This is from Desmond Tutu. A life of wholeness does not depend on what we experience. Wholeness depends on how we experience our lives. So that quote, and he was a Nobel Peace Prize winner, he was a human rights activist, very involved in the overturning of apartheid in South Africa. But that quote really struck a chord for me. Sometimes wholeness sounds like a fantasy idea, something for just privileged people. And while it's hard to work on yourself while you're trying to survive, wholeness is a goal for all of us. Even in our darkest hour, there's room to write a little journal entry. Sometimes those were the things that helped me to just survive, or to sit for a moment of reflection or meditation, or listen to, self-improvement content. We have so much access to so much content right now, myself included. So thank you for being here. Our experiences are not the only things that define us. How we choose to experience our lives also defines us, and we always have a choice, even if it's a small one, like what we choose to think about. And in the newsletter, I put it in quotes like small, because really what we choose to think about is huge, right? It's huge. Okay, two questions for you. First one to take with you this week. Number one, where am I still fragmented? Notice the parts of your life that maybe feel disconnected, parts that might feel neglected. It could have to do with your emotional well-being, maybe your creativity, maybe your physical health or your spiritual practices. For me, I had shame, so there were things that I just refused to speak about or acknowledge, and I kind of fragmented myself in that way. But so, where do you feel fragmented? And then, two, what would wholeness look like for you right now? And that doesn't mean perfection. It could be giving yourself permission to rest, forgiving someone from your past, reclaiming a dream, that maybe you put to the side or tucked away. What would bring you a little closer to feeling whole? And then three ways to lead with joy. First, I want you to think about these for the week ahead. First, pause. I'm always over here talking about pausing and being still and slowing down because I know for me, that is where the magic is when I actually slow down to think about my life and what it is I'm trying to do. So pause for presence. Take three cleansing breaths, three mindful breaths before responding, deciding, or acting. Wholeness starts in those moments when you can get still and reconnect with yourself. And then, two, this was huge for me, honor every part of your story. Sometimes we just like to tell the good parts and we leave the other stuff out. So, write down one lesson from a painful experience and one joy that shaped who you are. Integration means letting all of it belong. And then number three, create that sacred balance. So balance the doing with the being. For every hour that you give to being super productive, or for at least a few minutes for peace, it could show up like a conversation with a friend, maybe a quiet lunch, maybe a little walk in nature or a hike or something like that, or a few moments of just gratitude, just that silence and gratitude. All right, that's it. I'm trying to do these faster so you can get this great content without it taking a lot of your time. Listen, wholeness is not found outside of you, it's an inside job. Every step towards self awareness, every act of self compassion, every moment of truth telling brings you closer to your authentic, integrated self. It is a sweet step on your journey to what I call mind blowing happiness. So if you made it this far, you are already doing the work. Please like, follow, subscribe, and stay tuned for next week's edition of Mind Blowing Monday 123. It is your visual weekly